You're listening to The Jacob Valk Show. He's breaking down the latest and greatest in sports as only he can. Follow him on Twitter at RealJacobValk. Here he is, Jacob Valk.
Hello, sports fans! Welcome to another edition of the Jacob Valk Show. I am Jacob Valk, and there's a lot to get to today in the NFL. Also some stories that flew under the radar a little bit, which really shouldn't have, but I'll get to those later. Got to start with Wild Card Weekend, and the only game that saw the home team win. I mean, before I get into the game itself, what a great weekend this was for the NFL. Upsets galore, the young guns taking over, Brady and Breeze are out, in are Jackson and Mahomes. The NFL has to be ecstatic about how this weekend went, but enough about that. On to the game itself. Bills-Texans. What a fantastic game this was. The Texans coming down from 16-0, exercising their postseason demons somewhat. Last year, they were down 21-0 to the Colts in a horror show of a game, and that was all you heard. They were down to the Colts. Would they be able to come back? Well, they did, and that's because Bill O'Brien's a good coach, and that's because Deshaun Watson's a great quarterback. Watson has that clutch gene. Whatever it is, he has it. And you know what? He's had it since Clemson. He is such a great quarterback when the game is on the line. And all throughout, he played really, really well. Even when he was sacked, an outstanding 7 times. I mean, a great job by the Bills' defense, and an equally bad job by the Texans' offensive line. Laramie Tunsil was dreadful. So was Zach Fulton. It's amazing how Watson was able to stand in there, withstand everything, and lead the Texans back to victory. But when you look to the Bills, they really folded under the pressure. Josh Allen came out like a bat out of hell in the first half and played great. I mean, really was doing everything out there. Running, passing, even catching. Caught the only touchdown for the Bills. He had a really good first half, but then the second half, he folded like a cheap suit. And that's what happens when you're under the bright lights for the first time. It's very rare that you can find a quarterback who can come in a pressure-packed environment for the first time and play great for 60 minutes. That just doesn't happen a lot. I do think that Allen is being unfairly killed, though. I mean, this kid has talent. There's no way around it. For God's sake, he's a dual-threat quarterback. He has a cannon for an arm and legs like an Olympic sprinter. Yeah, he's not accurate, and the lateral that he tried to make was insanely stupid. Alright, I get that. He's not perfect. No one's saying he's perfect. But he's the third best quarterback out of that draft. It's something I've seen a lot on Twitter. The correct order of quarterbacks in that draft is Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, Sam Darnold, and Josh Rosen. That's the correct order. If you want to flip-flop Allen and Mayfield, there are some people that will. You know, I understand it. I disagree with it, but that's fine. I can see it. But that's the only area that list is up for debate. I mean, I'll tell you, if you were starting an NFL team from scratch, You could do a lot worse than having Josh Allen as your quarterback. Elsewhere for the Bills, Devin Singletary was doing it all. He has an insanely bright future. And I guarantee you that he's going to be a really special player in this league for a long time, assuming he stays healthy. Defensively for the Bills, Jerry Hughes, Trent Murphy, Matt Milano, Jordan Poyer, and Kevin Johnson really stood out to me as having really good games. And Jordan Poyer is winning off the football field, if you know what I mean. Oh, man. A lot of people were focused on Ed Oliver, and I thought he had an okay game for a rookie in the playoffs. Again, it's very rare. I'll repeat myself here. It's very rare that a rookie is going to come in and play great under the bright lights. It just doesn't happen a lot. And before I move on, I do want to just say one quick thing about Sean McDermott. I don't think McDermott's a great coach. I don't think he's a bad coach. I don't think he's a great coach. I think he's overrated. A little bit. There's some people that have him as a really, really good coach, and he's not. Alright? 3 years here. Has never won a playoff game, despite being there twice. For God's sake, he trotted out Nathan Peterman at quarterback. Do I need to say any more than that? Sean McDermott is a good coach. He is not very good. He is not great. He's not bad. He's not terrible. He's good. You can do a lot worse than him, but you can do a lot better than him. Moving over now to Titans, Patriots, and it's the end of an era! The Patriots dynasty is dead! It's over! Hallelujah! No, it's really not, though. Look, the dynasty is not over yet. It's certainly on its last legs. There's no question about that. But it's not dead. And it won't be dead until Brady and Belichick leave. I have no idea when that's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be this year or next. The only thing I'll say is, if Brady retires, I think Belichick is going to leave. And Josh McDaniels is going to take over for him as head coach with Nick Caserio as GM. McDaniels will have a lot of say in personnel, and they're going to decide whether Jarrett Stidham can lead them into the future, or if they're going to look for another quarterback. Maybe Brady will be quarterback's coach or offensive coordinator. Maybe Belichick will be senior advisor, but that's it. Alright, they're going to leave together. And they're going to go into Canton together. It's just that simple. If Brady leaves for the Chargers, which has been speculated a lot, Belichick is retiring as head coach. He's not going to the Giants. Get that out of your head. Stupid Giants fans. I hate seeing that. Oh my God. That ticks me off to no end. I don't care if he was defensive coordinator there 30 years ago. Alright, I'll tell you what. Bring Romeo Crennel in as head coach. Gee whiz. He may still be involved in the front office. Not as the head honcho, just as an advisor. But I really think that they're going to leave together. If I had to put money on it, I would say they're leaving together. But I'm going to hedge as to when that will be. Moving over to the Titans, though, and Derrick Henry had a game for the ages. I mean, who saw that coming? 34 rushes, 182 yards, and a touchdown? Plus a 22-yard catch? He was unreal. Did his best Eddie George impression. Hell, he looked better than Eddie George. Give Mike Vrabel credit and give Arthur Smith credit for putting together a game plan to stop the Patriots. I think next head coaching cycle, Arthur Smith is going to be a very, very hot commodity. And this was my favorite moment in the game. Mike Vrabel consistently taking the delay of games late. That was a Belichick move. He did that against Adam Gase and the Jets in a blowout. That Monday night blowout. And Belichick is complaining to the referees. Oh man, that was beautiful. The student has become the master. You don't like it when people exploit the rules against you, Belichick? Too bad. Oh, man. Tannehill did not look good by any stretch. Completed only 8 passes for 72 yards. He looked atrocious. I understand he played well enough to get the win. Alright, they beat the Patriots in Foxborough. You can't take that away from him. He'll be mentioned in the same breath as Mark Sanchez and Joe Flacco. But I hope they enjoy getting blown out by the Ravens. Moving over to Vikings Saints now, and Kirk Cousins exercising his playoff demons, finally showing that he can be a money quarterback, and showing that he may be worth what the Vikings paid him after all. Now look, he still has a long way to go to get to that point. He's got to beat the 49ers and whoever wins the Seahawks-Packers game and whoever comes out of the AFC. But he's on his way there. After a bad first year, he certainly put it all together. Played really well in this game. Now granted, he had help. The Vikings' run game was great. I thought they did a great job of mixing up Dalvin Cook and Alex Madison. I know that Madison only had 5 rushes, but I just thought the way that they incorporated him into the offense was great. And Adam Thielen, after being hurt for a lot of the year, coming back and having a great playoff game, 7 catches for 129 yards. I like Thielen a lot. I actually tried to trade for him in fantasy football, but I'm in a keeper league. I'm only in one league, a keeper league, and the guy who had Thielen wanted Terry McLaurin for him. No thanks. Defensively, though, I thought the Vikings secondary played really, really well. Anthony Harris had a great game in coverage. Trey Waynes and Xavier Rhodes. Granted, Rhodes got burned once or twice, but overall, he had a really, really good game. As did Andrew Sendejo, Eric Wilson, Danielle Hunter, and Linville Joseph also in the front 7. Played really well. Give the Vikings credit, man. They went into New Orleans and beat a better team. There's just no way around it. And before I get into the Saints and how they played, I'm going to nip this in the bud right now. That was not offensive pass interference. Was there contact? A little bit. Nothing egregious. Nothing like what Nickel Roby-Coleman did. You don't want a playoff game being decided like that. The touchdown is called and then it's overturned? Could you imagine if that was Michael Thomas that got called on that? Saints fans would be losing their minds. Look, I understand that you've been screwed over a lot recently. Alright, I get it. But you got beat by a team that just played better than you yesterday. Alright, it's just that simple. It was not OPI. It wasn't. You know how I know it wasn't OPI? Last year, the league office called Sean Payton to tell him that they got the call wrong, or the no call rather, on Nickel Roby-Coleman. This year, everyone came out in defense of this no call. This correct no call. But moving over to how the Saints actually played, I love Taysom Hill. Alright, Taysom Hill is one of my favorite players in the NFL. He's probably my favorite player in the NFL that's not on the Jets. I just love his gadgetness, his utility-ness. I don't know if those are words or not. You know what? I don't care. He's broken the mold. He just has. 50 yards passing, 50 yards rushing. Was actually their leading rusher yesterday. And 25 yards receiving with a touchdown. He's unreal. If Drew Brees decides to hang it up, Taysom Hill is not going to be the starting quarterback. It's going to be Bridgewater or maybe someone else. But I guarantee you that they keep Taysom Hill around for a long time. Love watching him play, man. Michael Thomas also had a great game. 7 catches for 70 yards. Probably the best wide receiver in the NFL today. But their other big gun, Kamara, was useless out there. I don't care that he caught 8 passes. 7 rushes for 21 yards? Alright, fine, he punched it in for a touchdown once. He was garbage out there. Absolute garbage. Even he would tell you that. You know why the Saints lost? I'll tell you exactly why they lost. Okay? They lost because their best running back yesterday was a quarterback. That's why they lost. Not because of another no call. The last game was the worst one. You've heard of saving the best for last? They saved the worst for last. I gotta tell you, I had a tough time getting into Seahawks-Eagles, man. I really did. Even before Wentz got hurt. And I'll get into Wentz. But just going into this game, how could anyone pick the Eagles? I saw a lot of people picking the Eagles. How? I don't care that they're home. The Seahawks were the vastly superior team. Like, it's not even close. And you saw it with Russell Wilson putting together another great game in the playoffs. He was doing everything out there, throwing and running. DK Metcalf showed why he should have been picked a lot higher than the late second round. I agreed with Chris Collinsworth 100% on that. I didn't have him going 7th overall, but I digress. Tyler Lockett played well. David Moore played well. Even Marshawn Lynch played well. He served his role. The Seahawks were just the vastly superior team. It's just that simple. But I do want to talk about Carson Wentz. And this is very difficult for me to say, because I do like Wentz. He's a great regular season quarterback. No question about that. But I don't think you can trust him. This is now his 3rd time in the playoffs, and he's never made it a full quarter. I don't care if it was a fluky injury or not. Look, it shouldn't have been a penalty. I agree that it was incidental contact. You just cannot trust this guy to lead your franchise going forward. Now, the Eagles are screwed. They have no other option. They already paid Wentz. They got rid of Foles, which, granted, looks like the right decision right now. But that doesn't take away from the fact that you just cannot trust Carson Wentz. It's unfortunate. He has a lot of talent. It's undeniable. A couple of years ago, he was going to be the MVP if he had stayed healthy. I don't know what the other options are, but Carson Wentz cannot be trusted in the playoffs. He just can't. Moving over now to the Cowboys hiring Mike McCarthy as their head coach. I think this is really a perfect situation for the Cowboys and McCarthy. For McCarthy, if he takes this immensely talented Cowboys team to the next level, he can shut all the people up, including me, by the way, who are saying that he's just a product of Aaron Rodgers. You know, I'll tell you, it doesn't take a genius to coach this team. Dak Prescott is a very good quarterback, Ezekiel Elliott's a great running back, and Amari Cooper's a great wide receiver. You've got 3 really, really good weapons there on offense. And they're protected by the best offensive line in football. That combined with a good defense, with DeMarcus Lawrence, Byron Jones, assuming he comes back. I hope he doesn't. I want him on the Jets. Xavier Woods, Chidobe Awuzie, Jalen Smith, Sean Lee. There's great talent there. All McCarthy has to do, and it's not hard, it's why I think he's the right guy for this, is push the right buttons and get out of their way. And on the Cowboys side of things, he's a perfect guy to be Jerry Jones's lackey. He was Aaron Rodgers' lackey, and now will be Jerry Jones's lackey. This is really a win-win situation for both parties. I did think that Jerry Jones would go the college route. I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad that they were linked to former NFL head coaches, because they don't need a strong-willed guy. They just need, for lack of a better term, a game manager as a head coach. And that's what Mike McCarthy is. I really think that he's the perfect guy for the Cowboys. The other big NFL news was Tua Tagovailoa declaring for the NFL draft. Now, look, I understand the appeal of declaring for the NFL. You get paid a lot of money. If you're a quarterback, you're the new face of the franchise, and it's what you've worked your entire life to get to. I get that. But for Tua, unless he got a high guarantee, which I don't think he did, this makes no sense. Look, I understand that there are a lot of quarterback-needy teams at the top of the draft. But if you're one of them, how can you pick Tua? The guy's coming off a huge injury, and he's been injury-prone throughout his whole college career. Look, this kid has all the talent in the world, and if he had stayed healthy, even with Burrow having the type of season that he had, I still would have had Tua ranked higher than him. I understand the talent that Tua is. But if I was GM of the Dolphins, the Chargers, or the Panthers, Jaguars too, I would be really hesitant to pick him. For starters, he may not play this year. So you're burning a year. I hate when teams do that. You picked high in the draft, I want you to be able to play right away. I don't think that's a hard ask. Second up, you need to be 100% sure. Not 99, 100% sure that he's going to be the Tua that we all saw in Alabama. And there is no way that you can make that guarantee. I think he should have stayed in school, proved that he was healthy, and then come out. Maybe it wouldn't have made less money, because there will be a team that takes him high. I think the Dolphins are going to take him at 5. I do. I want that on the record now. For God's sakes, they went into this year tanking for him. They really didn't need to tank that much for him. It's a stupid strategy. I really hope it doesn't catch on. If it does, the NFL has a major issue. Look, I understand why Tua made this decision, and I can't begrudge it. But I'd have liked if he stayed in school, proved that he was healthy, and then come out. Just because if I was an NFL GM, that would make me be able to sleep a lot easier at night. Moving over to the lesser-known stories, a sort of hodgepodge, if you will. There are a couple bowl games that I want to talk about, and one baseball signing. I'll start with college football. Tulane beating Southern Miss in the Armed Forces Bowl. Now, I picked Southern Miss in this game, and I was really, really close to winning. I mean, going into the half, Tulane looked lost. They were down 13-6. They could get nothing going offensively. And Jack Abraham played really, really well. Had the best game of his career so far. But then Abraham got hurt. And they had to go to Tate Watley. There's really no nice way to say this. Tate Watley stinks. I mean, he just does. Completed 41% of his passes through 2 picks. He was terrible. Oh, man. That, combined with Tulane's great third quarter, Justin McMillan looked out of this world, meant that Tulane won. And I will give Tulane credit for seizing on the momentum swing that was Abraham being knocked out of the game. Once a quarterback is knocked out, that's a huge momentum swing away from the team that's without their quarterback. And it is up to the opponent to seize on it. And Tulane did. That's why they won. Moving over to the Lending Tree Bowl now. Louisiana Lafayette versus Miami of Ohio. I just don't see how the Redhawks win this game. They have a good team. There's no question about that. Jalen Bester's a very talented running back. But they're no match for the Ragin' Cajuns. Levi Lewis has put together a really, really good year. Safe with the football, threw 24 touchdowns, only 4 picks. The passing yards aren't where I'd like him to be, but like I said, he's really, really safe with the football. And their running back is one of the most underrated in the nation, Elijah Mitchell. They also have a really underrated wide receiver in Jamarcus Bradley. There's a reason that the Ragin' Cajuns are favored by 14. I really think this is going to be a romp, and this game is going to be over before the third quarter ends. The baseball signing that I wanted to talk about was Craig Stammen re-signing with the Padres. 2 years, $9 million. Really, really good move for the Padres. Craig Stammen has been a really good pitcher in this league for a while. Yeah, he's had injury concerns. I get that. But when healthy, he's been really, really good. Career record of 44-37, 3.63 ERA. And for the Padres, he's been great. He even closed for them last year. The money's right. It fills a huge need for him. I think this is a great move for the Padres. Tomorrow, I'm going to be breaking down the Lending Tree Bowl along with any other sports news that breaks. You'll also get my first ever New York Islanders show this evening. Until next time, I am Jacob Valk saying that the Astrodome was a tough yard for the hitter when the air conditioner was blowing in.